welcome back to Consider This. I'm Melisa Idris with Sharaad, Kuttan. Now we turn our attention to the Special Cabinet Steering Committee on the Malaysia Agreement 1963, or better known as MA63. They have reached an agreement on 7 out of the 21 issues on Sabah and Sarawak's autonomy. Now they are expected to arrive at a decision on the remaining 14 issues by the end of the month. But joining us on the line to help us understand a little bit better what progress has been made so far, we have Professor James Chin, who's Director of the Asia Institute at the University of Tasmania in Australia. Good evening, James. Thank you for joining us. Now, how would you gauge the recent resolutions of the issues related to the restoration of Sabah and Sarawak's status as equal partners in Malaysia?
Well, I think that we should do that. I think the problem is probably at that time. The leader mentioned until the end of this month, which is 31st of August, to try to sort out all the key issues. But I think lesson 2 in the introduction, they've only managed to solve about 1/3 of the issues. Out of the 31 issues, they've only managed to agree about 20%. So I think they will not be able to finish their work by 31st of August. It will probably drag up to probably until next year. The other reason why this issue probably cannot be well compared to everybody towards draft regulation. So the draft regulation is probably the next year. So the GPS government will probably not agree with a lot of the key issues under any situation.
James, can I just go into some of the details of that have been revealed to us with regard to the so-called progress? And it's got to do with gas distribution, labour and health, management, as well as the islands of Sipadan and Ligitan. I mean, are these significant in your view?
Well, I think, as I mentioned earlier, this is just part of the process. We want the structure to try to resolve it. It's quite complicated. So here the net MA63 committee, which consists mainly of elected chaired by the Prime Minister. Then below that you have the technical committee plus the state committee. Plus at the state level you have 2 different committees, one is Sabah, one is Sarawak. So trying to get everyone together to agree on some of the more potential issues will be quite difficult. But I think that for people in Sabah and Sarawak, I think the most important thing that the process currently is undertaken, because I think there was a bit of worry that under the new Pakistan since they've done a lot of the issue, they might probably do the issue. But my understanding is that the federal government is quite serious about handling this issue. The big problem is that the other 2 state national coming up here, plus the timeline which should be started.
Okay, let's take a pause with James for a while, Melisa, and let's consider some of these issues. And I think because of the complexities of Sabah at least, we have a situation where the political party in power in Sabah, Warisan, is not actually formally part of Pakatan Harapan, right? They're not part of the Presidential Council. So there they are, Warisan. And I'm very interested to know from James if it's possible, and whether Warisan takes the brunt of this, with the lack of progress, or whether people are satisfied that their government, as it were, Warisan, is doing the most it can for the population in terms of the MA63 thing.
Yeah, well, you know what? We've got a by-election happening in East Malaysia just around the corner. We don't have a date yet, but it's going. We're going to be looking at a by-election soon in Kimanis, right? That's right. So the question is, how much will this play into the campaign? Are we going to be seeing this as a key issue in the campaign on the ground, or is it, Sharaad, just a question for political elites? I mean, is MA63 really followed by Sabah and Sarawakians on the ground? And the question is whether we can see this translate into kind of a grassroots support on the ground as well.
Yeah, in fact, we have from the ground, as it were, we have joining us Datin Fazar Arif. She's in Keningau at the moment. And she's going to help us understand the kind of ground situation. So we had James just now, and he was, of course, in Tasmania because he's a long-time observer of Borneo politics. now we have Datin Fazar.
Fazar Arif, thank you for joining us. Now, you helped form Moyog Magic for YB Jennifer Lasimbang in Penampang, which, it's about helping locals develop self-reliance through social enterprise. So what are you hearing on the ground about MA63 and Sabah issues?
Hi, first of all, thank you for including me in this conversation. Well, first of all, I'd just like to mention about MA63. Hello?
Yes?
Yes, please carry on.
Okay. I mean, the whole point of North Borneo and now Sabah agreeing to Malaysia was to be independent from the British, to maintain our status quo in terms of religion, culture, and land, and most of all, to have economic development and infrastructure to be almost on par, if not on par, as our counterparts in Malaya for the people of Sabah. Now, MA63 had all those covered. The Malaysia Agreement 1963 had all this covered for the Sabahans, but it's now 2009, and as you all are aware, only some West Malaysians themselves are just beginning to wake up the existence of that agreement. But where would Malaysia be without Sabah and Sarawak? Because Malaysia was born on September 16, 1963. And where is Sabah now? Well, the biggest growth so far it had accomplished from 1963 until now had been the 400% approximately increase in its population. So the people are very, very aware of that.
Can I ask you if this issue of MA63 is actually central to the legitimacy of the Warisan government? I mean, if they are seen as not pushing hard enough, do you think they could last?
It is a very delicate issue for any party, but at the moment, Warisan has to be seen as to work really, really hard to push for it. But at the moment, I feel what we really need, what Sabahans really would like to see, would be more inclusivity of the government being more inclusive and also being more transparent of what they're trying to achieve, and who those people are at the task force, the technical committee fighting for MA63 for the people.
Right. So, your family is part of the political elite in Sabah. Your late father, in fact, Datuk Muhammad Arif Salif, was the first member of parliament from Keningau. And he was one of the first few political leaders to emerge from the interior during the formation of Malaysia. So the question really is, with the issue of MA63, just how big of a campaign issue do you predict MA63 will be in the upcoming by-election?
Well, I think before we talk about a by-election, I'm guessing there will be an appeal an appeal by Datuk Sri Hanifa.
And finally, I mean, are you personally happy with the progress of the talks? We know that there are 21 issues, 13 of them relate to both Sabah and Sarawak, and 8 are actually specific to Sabah. Do you think anything's been left out of off the table that you would like to see put on the table with regard to the federation and the relationships between the 3 territories?
Yeah, of course. We've always been saying that we are so behind in terms of education, Sabah, and also our infrastructure and all that, and there are so many issues in Sabah that needed immediate attention. And whatever that has been achieved now is way back. It should have been done years ago for Sabah. But the thing is that for now, I feel that there should be more transparency, whatever the government is trying to achieve, and they should be more inclusive and get as many people, the top leaders in Sabah who had been working for Sabah in the past, who had been at the top positions in Sabah. They should be consulted as well, and the people. And at the moment, like I said, there's no apparent transparency or of them being inclusive with the general public. That's what the people are saying.
Right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. That was Datin Fazar Arif, a Sabah-based activist. Now, we're going to be back in just a few minutes right here on Consider This, so stay tuned.